Welcome back to another exciting episode of Nerd Stay Out. This is your host, Jaquack, and your
Oh,
co-host,
Hollywood.
DiBiase.
DiBiase.
And this week we're going to go back to our original, kind of, not original, I take that back, not original, to our format of what we've read this week. And I don't know about you, I kind of had a little ADD moment where I would start reading something and then I want to read something else. So it was actually a little hard for me to read like consistent this week. So I read 3 issues of Flash, 1 issue of Detective Comics, 1 issue of 2014 Thor, and I got a recommendation to read Winter Moon. It's on Webtoon. It's free, so if you're interested, go check it out. You can download it, read it directly on your phone, mobile device. What have you read this week?
I have read Homework.
Homework.
I've been like super swamped with homework. So, I didn't read a whole lot, but what I did do is compile a pretty extensive reading list. That's what you get. You didn't offer me a drink, jackass.
Do you want a drink?
Sure.
Well,
But,
keep talking. Keep the audience entertained. I'll be back.
But yeah, so what I've done is I've compiled me an extensive list of things I've heard other people talking about. I also, enjoy a couple of other people's casts as well to get some ideas for listening to. So shout out Serious Issues, and I read comic books. I use them sometime for inspiration. But this week, what I've read for myself, I finally started Ice Cream Man, which I'm sure you remember me talking to you about before. So I finally started Ice Cream Man, and I only read 1 issue of that, and then I realized that I still had these X-Men Black books sitting on profile for me to finish, and I hadn't finished it. So I went back and I read my X-Men Blacks. Do you remember what I told you about those? Yeah. So I went back and I read the X-Men Blacks, and that's pretty much it, man. I mean, that's 5 different issues, though. That's 5 one-shots. So I read those, and then the issue 1 of Ice Cream Man.
Cool. Also, side note, I'm sorry, we just ran out of ice and I didn't realize it. So what I've read this week, actually I've been meaning to finish this one and I just haven't because I always get ADD about 3 or 4 issues in. The 2014 run of Thor, it's only like 12 issues long, but basically it's where a female dons the mantle of Thor. And basically the opening sequence is ice giants, go figure, are attacking. And Thor feels as if he's unworthy. He's not worthy enough to wield the hammer anymore. And even Odin himself can't wield the hammer. So maybe Mjolnir's just fed up with their BS.
I mean, how full of crap you gotta be for a hammer to be fed up with you?
I mean, well, Odin's also on tier, if I recall correctly, in this one, where they don't think it's really Odin or Odin's really twisted.
There's like, I'm getting real sick of your shit, Thor.
Yeah, but basically, frost giants, dark elves. Thor goes down to fight them with a regular old axe. Pretty much gets his butt handed to him. He loses an arm, and you see him floating out in the ocean. And then the ending excerpt is a female, blonde-haired woman holding Mjolnir, wearing a Asgardian helmet, full face. The only thing you can see is lips and chin, and Asgardian armor. I think that image is actually pretty badass, and I'm probably going to snag a picture of it later. So that's that. If you're interested in that, and I would definitely recommend it. It's one of the few things that interested me in Thor. Not huge on the Thor lore, Thor fan base. I'm not that big of a Thor fan, but this one is definitely getting my attention.
You said this was from 2014?
Yeah.
I wonder if they tied that with the 2012, 2013.
I think you said you were. I think you said it picks up right after.
No, the one I was reading was right before.
Oh, yeah.
2012,
I mean, that one would pick up right after. So
yeah,
if
well,
by the end of it,
Mhm.
it seemed like it would continue in that one, then probably so.
Well, I haven't gotten to the end, but the reason why I asked is because you talk about Thor losing his arm, and I remember the future Thor in that series had one arm. So I wonder if that was the connection where that one arm came from.
Possibly. And I'm also reading Detective Comics. I think I figured out my pattern how I want to read going forward is like 3 issues of something major, one something I'm just gonna breeze over, and then one something else I'm gonna breeze over, and maybe a random here and there. But basically, Detective Comics, the point that I'm at right now is basically Catwoman Cassandra Cain just killed Clayface not too long ago. Spoiler alert, if you haven't already read, Clayface was on Team Batman for a while. And basically she killed him, so Cassie's a little pissed off, and the whole Bat family's kind of in disarray. But basically, in this issue, Batman and Cassandra are meeting to kind of have try and find a coexistence between them, the Bat family, and the colony. And basically what happens is Ulysses Grant basically attacks the colony with nanobots and gets inside of Tim's head. And basically Tim he overloads Tim's mind with trauma, like electrical pulses, to simulate the trauma that future Tim Drake has, so that he would go down that same path. But basically, he kind of takes control of Tim, and that's pretty much where that ends off. But you have Batwing coming in, you have Azrael, you have Cassandra Cain. Batman goes to Stephanie Brown for help because her and Tim Drake had a relationship, which is pretty cool. Like, I always loved Batman when it wasn't just Batman, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yeah. When you put the other characters in, then you add more dynamic, because everybody knows, oh, I'm this super brooding guy with lots of money and fancy gadgets. Yeah. Call me a detective because it's my pastime. I have nothing else to do. So, but the extra characters always add like an extra level of emotions and whatnot like that to Batman. Because just Batman by himself is kind of a dick.
Yeah. But I loved the fact that they added in Orphan, they added in Batgirl, Batwoman, Red Robin, Batwing, Azrael. Oh, look at that infamous Stephanie Brown Robin. No. That not doing it for you?
I'm trying to figure out when she became stacked.
And I mean, they do drop in Dick and
that's what she said.
Composure. Jason and Damian here and there in Detective Comics. So if you have never read Detective Comics a day in your life, you got some catching up to do.
But I mean, that's more what Detective is for, right? I mean, I haven't really read Detective. Well, it's been let me take that back. rewind. It's been a while since I read Detective. Um, excuse me. Sorry about that. That drink hit me right there. It's been a while since I read Detective Comics. I think The Death of the Family was like the last time I read Detective because it had a detective tie-in.
Yeah.
So I think that was the last time I read Detective. But isn't like that's supposed to be the whole concept behind Detective? It's more about the Batman universe and not just Batman.
Yeah.
Like that's why we have Batman, because Batman focuses on Batman and Batwoman focuses on Kane and Nightwing on
Nightwing has had several of his own series. Red Hood actually has his own separate run currently, and that's on my list to get caught up on too. I read the New 52 Red Hood. It was pretty good in my opinion. I like the fact that they touched on like his upbringing and made it seem like Joker had more to do with it than just the death of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hadn't read none of that. I might actually put it on
You
my
should
list.
definitely read it. I recommended it a while ago when I was originally reading it.
Dude, have you seen my list though?
Yes.
No. You saw my early draft of my list. You talking about what I sent you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my early draft. It has grown exponentially.
But basically you have to read it. There's probably like 5 or 6 comics in there that touch on Joker and how Joker influenced even him being a Robin.
Does it go further than what he did to what's it, Tim Drake? And the you remember Batman Beyond?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he brainwashed him and then made him.
Yeah, I mean
Joker.
Yeah, but I mean this goes into pre-Robin Jason Todd though.
So we're going back to like Tim Burton Batman. I made the Batman.
Yeah.
Type.
Yeah. Also, I've read some of Flash. 3 issues of Flash. Not a whole lot. But basically, you have Flash off on doing Flash things on a quest for trying to figure out, these new forces that he unleashed aside from the Speed Force because he already understands the Speed Force some. But this one, you find the true, I want to say mascot for the Strength Force, and it's this chick in Spanish chick in I don't remember the place.
Avatar.
Yeah, she's the Avatar. But basically, her name is something in Spanish. Fuerza.
Spanish.
Fuerza.
Me llamo Fuerza.
Someone with better Spanish, correct me, please. But I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's Fuerza.
I don't think that's enough R's to roll, is it?
Fuerza.
You roll 2 R's, right?
Fuerza.
Stop purring in the mic. Huh.
What?
Her name is Force. It just means force.
Huh. That's cool. But basically, she's actually a hero. Flash thought she was a villain at first, but basically the police force in...
So she's the avatar of the Force Force?
Strength Force.
Force of the Force Forces?
Strength Force. Strength Force, man. Strength Force.
She looks like a freaking lantern.
She does. I don't know why they made her green. It's just one of those things that just... I wish they had used a different color. But I mean, then again, what color would you use?
Well, I think I'm going to be looking into some Flash soon.
What?
I've got... Well, don't get your excitement too excited here. They've got Hero in Crisis. Is on my list of things to read. It's pretty much, from the gist of it that I've been seeing, is like superheroes with PTSD. So like, all this stuff goes down, how do the superheroes handle it? Who do the superheroes talk to? Who do they go and release all their shrinky stuff on? You know, like who would be Batman's shrink type deal? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
who would Batman talk to get this stuff off his mind? I mean, obviously Alfred, because Alfred is freaking awesome, but that's not the point. So at this point in the Hero Crisis timeline, they're about to do some crossovers, and it's supposed to leak out into Flash and Batman. And it's supposed to focus on something that happens between those two.
Okay. I was looking for this because I wanted to at least mention where they are. It's Corto Maltese. Because I remember that name from, like, it pops up fairly frequently in DC. That and Nano Barbette. But, you know.
What is that, like a small island off the coast of Barbados?
I have no idea. That's League of Assassins though. But basically, she's actually a hero. The police force is corrupt, and Flash now has to team up with her to take down this police force. And then you have like a drop in of like hints of the Sage Force at the end of issue number 60, which is where I took my pause because I'm at issue 60, and at the end of issue 60, I have 61 through 63 to read for next week, and then I'll be all caught up, and then I'll be just reading one by one on that, and I'll switch to something else.
I don't even want to talk about getting caught up. Oh, I did read a Venom though, but I'm still behind because I didn't read Venom 10. But I did read number 9. Fine.
I did not read Venom. Venom will get read next week. But basically, and the last thing I read was a recommendation, Winter Moon on Webtoon, like I mentioned before. It's actually interesting. It reminded me almost of SEO, except they're not trapped in a game. But basically, it takes place inside of a game. Yes.
Well, to kind of caveat off that it trapped in a game SEO thing, one of the things on my list to read that I'm going to look for is Self-Made. They've been talking about it a lot on one of the podcasts I listen to. And they said basically it's kind of got that same vibe like that. Well, they use it to describe comparison of like Westworld.
Yeah.
Which to me is like in that same essence of you're trapped in a world that's not supposed to be that kind of world type deal. So you might like that. That'd probably be pretty interesting to you.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I actually enjoy outlets that do the whole trapped in a game or video game based thing because I'm a gamer. I mean, first and foremost. But basically, this is like a open world MMO where this super powerful guy comes in, and this chick's like flirting with him, like, "Hey, help me out. I need some gold. I'm poor." And he's like, "Out my face, biatch. I'm gay." And it's so funny, but it shouldn't be.
I mean, but I don't see, he could still give her money.
But I think it's funny because like since I play MMOs and play multiplayer games, I see that aspect quite often where you have this guy basically like carrying this girl or giving her gold or giving her currency to basically boost her in game. So it's like, this real life happens. So, it's something I can semi-relate to. And then on the other hand, the other main character is basically like an actual girl who's basically going around and getting her way with guys because she's pretty. And basically they run into each other and she begs him for money and he's like, "Nah, I'm gay. This doesn't work." And he beats up her boyfriend at the time, and then like now she's his slave and doing whatever the heck he tells her to. And then they go to try and meet a friend, but they end up burning the entire city down because they were trying to start a guild. They start the guild, but they burn the entire city down in the process.
So you start a guild, but you raise everything to the ground.
And then they go try and find like a guild hall or guild building or whatever you want to call it. But they can't because no city wants them around now.
Well, yeah. The last city you ran, you kind of burnt to the ground, homie. Nah, I'm good.
And it almost...
We Gucci over here.
And it makes me want to play an MMO and actually, get good. The only problem with MMOs is you need friends.
And monies.
Yes and no. If you're good enough, you don't need money.
Your squad gotta be good.
But the problem, that's one of the reasons.
I'm telling you right now, I ain't joining no MMOs.
No, I wouldn't expect you to. But that's the problem is, one, I have too many games to play. Two, I don't have enough friends that are willing to join an MMO, let alone play an MMO. And three, that's a big time sink.
Facts.
Like, I've done it. I've played Guild Wars 2. I've played Guild Wars 2. I mean, I've played a few MMOs, and I've played, some of them don't last very long because of server issues, or they're just not popular. And usually I fall out of them, unfortunately, and I went back to one that I had started on release. I think it's called Vindictus. It's a, those people that Nexon released it, and I kid you not, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my equipment, and I remembered why I played it, but then I quickly remembered why I stopped playing it. It was one of the few games where you can use an actual scythe as a weapon, but their servers are trash.
That trash?
Yes.
Super trash?
Yep. So, if anybody plays MMOs, let me know, and I might see what I can do to make time. So, Hollywood, I almost called you by your government.
I'm sure somebody will find it out anyway. Snoops.
I know, right?
Snoopy McSnooperson.
I mean, if they join the Facebook group or the Discord, they'll find out really quickly. Namely, Facebook. But, that's pretty much all I've got for this week. And, yeah, I only took about 20 minutes this time. I did not go off on as big of a tangent.
Well, contained chaos. Organized chaos.
But whenever you're ready to take over, I mean, I can just rattle on for a while.
Right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take it from there.
Alright.
So, like I said, it's been a super crazy week for me with homework or whatever. So, I hadn't had a chance to do, all the reading in the whole wide world to make me feel super duper accomplished. But I'm working on it. My current process right now is get my bedside table organized so I can put a couple comic books on it and try and knock one out before I go to bed at night. Or two. Just depends. So, what I did though, is I did accomplish, finally, reading the X-Men Black Saga. For those of you who are into X-Men, you guys know that X-Men has been on this tangent as of late with X-Men Blue, Yellow, Blue and Gold, Red, which just recently come to an end. Red did. So that's on my list, obviously. And Uncanny X-Men now. But what they did release before they started the Uncanny series, which has been coming out like an issue a week. They actually made that a weekly series, which was ridiculous. Now that the weekly series is done, I think I will look into like a collection and read it. Make it easier.
Yeah. Also, not to interrupt, but I just saw something I posted on the Facebook group. What's with the I need someone who reads Aquaman to tell me what's with this no potato soup tonight guy.
Oh, no soup for you. Maybe it's a Seinfeld reference.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Because I was reading Flash, and then at the end of Flash there was this Aquaman excerpt, and I'm like, alright, Aquaman comic. It was literally 2 excerpts from Aquaman. 2 squares. And then there's this one random image of this like kind of slow looking dude just in the water. No potato soup tonight.
Oh, really? No potato soup for you tonight. Pretty self-explanatory.
And I could not help but like die of laughter.
Alright, so the X-Men Black series was pretty much a series of one-offs that they did, which serves 2 purposes, I'm going to say. I'm not really sure what's going on in the Uncanny X-Men line because, like I said, I haven't started that. But I'm sure this was the break that led into it, the Uncanny X-Men. So what they did was with these 5 issues, they took and they made 5 separate issues about 5 major villains from the X-Men universe. So you've got Magneto one-shot, a Juggernaut one-shot, a Mojo one-shot, a Mystique one-shot, and a Emma Frost one-shot. So I read all of them. In my opinion, the best 2 were Magneto and Emma Frost. This storyline is like these storylines are pretty much completely separate from the X-Men. Like you don't really see a huge tie-in with X-Men characters showing up. It just kind of pretty much is to give you a setup and a separate look at these particular villains. So what I thought was really good about the Magneto one was that it was essentially good guy Magneto. So, you get these images of Magneto to make you feel more relatable to him. You know what I mean? Like he's just a regular person. He's not out here trying to destroy humankind for the superior race. So, you've got like an instance where he's in a restaurant and these guys are like picking on this girl in the restaurant, or they're saying these really rude things, and he's talking to her or whatever. They single him out just for him to reveal what he is, that he's a mutant, and respond back. But one of the things I thought was really cool was while they're sitting there talking or whatever to the girl, she notices the numbers on his wrist, in which if you're familiar with the X-Men lore, a while back they retconned Magneto's past to include that he's a survivor of the Holocaust. So you get this really heartfelt, conversation with him and her about, how the judging people are wrong and what her mom does, and that her mom is going to be a hero. He's certain her mom will be a hero. Her mom's like an astronaut or something like that, whatever. And you get this whole down home, feeling about him, and about how he just wants people to be able to feel included and this, that, and third. And then he walks out the restaurant and you realize that he was there for something totally different and not just the key lime pie. So you get a whole scene where basically he's attacked. There's a prison camp right outside of this restaurant where he was at. Like, not right outside, but like a few miles down the road or whatever. Close enough to it. And it's a prisoner camp, which I think was pretty interesting about this is the fact that we've got all this going on right now with like the Border Patrol and the deterrent and them kidnapping the kid, taking the kids and holding the kids and all that kind of stuff like that. So what these camps were for all for kids who were discovering that they had powers. So they were just taking these kids and they were just throwing them and locking them into these camps, quote unquote. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't want to give too much of it away. I think I probably gave a good bit of it away, but I don't want to give too much of it away. Definitely, if you're a big Magneto fan and you respect his action first, pacifism later attitude, I would give it a look because it gives you extra layers to his character.
Reason why I always loved Magneto is because he was supposed to be a direct kind of portrayal of Malcolm X.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that parallel. What I think is cool is though, a lot of the older comic book writers and artists and stuff, a lot of them were Jewish too, so that kind of portrays and falls into that aspect as well. So, with the Emma Frost issue, which was written by Leah Williams, and pencils by Chris Bacalo, and a whole slew of inkers and colorists. This one is really good. You get the aspect is of a younger Emma Frost. What I think was really cool about having the different artists on it is, like, as you look through this particular comic, you can kind of see the art style change a little bit through some of the frames. There's the same basic core to the style, but you notice some change over some of the frames. But it's basically a empowering story for Emma Frost. It's like a new way of showing how she got to where she's gotten in the Hellfire Club. So it starts off, she pretty much comes to the X-Men and tells them that she needs help taking down the Hellfire Club, because the Hellfire Club is currently in disarray and in shambles, and this could be what they need to turn it around and, help to go ahead and completely bring down the Empire. So they formulate a plan and they attack, and Emma does her thing. Like I said, without giving away too much, you get to see a real different side of Emma. More powerful. I guess you see where the conniving comes from. This is like early scheming Emma. You know what I'm saying?
Also, side note, not to interrupt, but to interrupt, we've been slacking on posting our heroes for this month.
I literally just announced that we were going to do that yesterday.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, I meant to ask you this morning who was going to post it, but I just did Static Shock, so good for me. You got tomorrow.
I'm probably going to do like 5 more today for the previous days that we missed. Going back to this though, so the other issues you have are Mystique and Juggernaut. Mystique didn't really do it for me with this one. I normally like the Mystique character, but it's pretty much like they gave Mystique a basic espionage assassin kind of storyline, which we already know Mystique for, you know what I mean? So that's not really anything new you're seeing out of Mystique with that. Because we already know how conniving she is. They did a good job of showing how she alters herself for the missions though. You don't see any really actual transformations, but throughout this one mission alone, she turned into like 8 people. And it's like smooth transition, like she bump into somebody and take something off of them, and the next thing you know, in the next frame, she's them. So it's pretty good. Also shows how she's just not to be trusted. Pretty much a spoiler alert if I tell you how she's not to be trusted, but she's not to be trusted. Uh, Juggernaut, nothing was really entertaining about the Juggernaut. It just felt like filler. I mean, you kind of find out that Juggernaut is a huge rage machine, which, I mean, I guess that was kind of pretty much obvious. He just seemed to have anger issues since forever. So, you know, whatever. The only other thing that was really interesting out of this series was Mojo's was pretty decent, but it was more or less the concepts they were touching on. As you know, Mojo is like a producer for the Mojoverse or whatever, and his number one vindicated show is the X-Men. So all the stuff that he does to the X-Men, trying to kill the X-Men and all that stuff like that, is all part of his show. He records it all and it'll broadcast live to his audience on Planet Mojo. And in this particular one, I thought it was funny because he talks about like the ratings and how they were dropping, and he contributes the ratings dropping to new characters. So you know the introduction of new characters, and they're trying to force different characters and taking away from the originals who everybody knows and loves, or changing characters to, you know, something different to fit what the new generation might like. So basically, if you've ever had any kind of comic book conversation online, and you get those people who are like, well, I don't mind if they change the characters, I just want the changes to be organic. If it just fits into the storyline, then there's literally a square where he says, I don't mind changes as long as they're organic. So like the best thing about this issue was like it was essentially like the comic book writers saying, yeah, we get it. We see that we're making changes that all of you don't like, but some people are gonna like, and you have to try, and there has to be new things. But obviously there are people who just ain't trying to hear that. They want their whatever to be whatever, and you know, in my day, my beast didn't have hair, and my Iceman wasn't gay. I don't see why, you know, like.
Wait, Iceman's gay?
Yeah.
Huh.
But I mean, that's one of the things. So characters develop and they change, and when you have new writers, you have new things. It's just, you know, people are not wanting to see these kind of changes. So I thought that was pretty funny though that they included that in there.
I'll be honest. I like change. I like good change. Let me correct what I was gonna say, because.
Were you gonna say you want your changes to be organic?
No.
And fit along with the story?
No. I mean, I follow a lot of DC. Let's not forget how often they reboot their series. Like, I kid you not, they used Flashpoint, a comic that released, 2011-ish? To explain the reboot between New 52 and Rebirth.
I mean, it was already handy there.
I mean, it was handy there, and they hadn't done anything with it, with the main storylines. It was just kind of one of those comics that happened. So it fit, and I get why they used it. It's just, you know, I liked what they did with it. And I mean, they brought back Eobard Thawne, they brought back Connor Zolomon in the Flash universe. I loved the introduction of Bruce's father as Batman. And yes, they did pull him into the Batman comics for like an issue or two.
I didn't know they brought Thomas back in.
Yeah, they touched on it because Flash actually delivers that letter to Bruce in Rebirth. And that's where they found the button and everything with Doomsday Clock. So that tied in as well.
Well, Doomsday Clock is separate. Doomsday Clock is what's going on now.
No, but that's together-ish.
Oh, I haven't read the button, so it's on my list.
But, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some changes can be drastic. Some changes can be all of a sudden. And some changes can be detrimental to the fans. But them having 1, 2, 3, 4 flashes now, me personally, I don't really care because I read mainline Flash, I read Titans, and I read Teen Titans, and I'm probably gonna pick up Justice League China at some point because there's a Flash there too.
But I mean, at what point does it matter for the changes? I mean, there's gonna be changes. Things are gonna change. Things have to evolve. But at what point does a change happen, and then it matters so much that you just have to ignore it?
I also feel like, go ahead.
Marvel, Nazi Cap. Like, let's not forget that happened.
It happened.
Cap became Hydra. It happened.
I liked that version of Cap. I thought it was badass.
Okay, but that happened, but then you had people complain about when the new arc started and the current writer decided to continue along with that storyline, and you have people now that they shun him, they're calling him a Nazi, this, that, and the third. And people are like, oh, I don't want no SJW in my Captain America.
Technically, Hydra's not Nazi.
That doesn't really matter. You're kind of... That's semantics. The point of the matter is...
Hydra would be Russian, though. If anything.
No, it's not.
What is it?
Red Skull is... All that stuff is based out of Germany.
Oh, whatever.
So... I mean... I don't know, man. So...
I mean... You can't get any more drastic than female Thor. Female Iron Man.
I don't know, bro, because Nazi Cap might be the heel turn of the century.
Alright, fine. Let's get female lesbian somebody in here.
I mean, you got American Chavez. That's a new character, though.
I mean...
Progression, man. The world progresses, and so should the media in it.
Yes. And I also feel like the whole gay characters in comic books, it's... How do I put this without sounding like a jerk? I think comic books...
Don't say it.
Well, I'm obviously going to piss somebody off somewhere. But I think comic books have always been around, and I think comic books have always gave certain people hope. And I also feel like comic books also hit on some key points and issues in day-to-day life that some other people might be too scared to speak up about. Like the whole gay issues that we have going on today. I think, having gay comic book characters and gay heroes is a positive because it gives those gay people something to look forward to. Like Aqualad, I think it's awesome that they made him gay in this current run. I think that Boulder in New 52 Teen Titans was awesome. These characters that I grew up, reading about and watching on TV, I freaking love Bobby Drake. Do you think I'm going to stop liking him because he's gay now? No.
Some people... But, I mean, I guess the point is inclusion. What will always happen in comics and other media is people will portray more of what they see of themselves or in their personal lives and through their art. Storylines, like I said, storylines progress and you have character changes that will happen. It's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to be open-minded to accept what the change is. I'm personally all for change. Not saying just completely throw out the whole MCU and just make everybody this or everybody that. But, I mean, progression happens. Things change. And if you don't like it, just don't read it. I mean...
At the end of the day, it's your choice. Freedom of...
Nobody's forcing you to read Iceman.
This is America. This is America. Where you have the right to read whatever you want. You can listen to our podcast. You don't have to. But at the end of the day, hit that subscribe button. Mash that thumbs up. Did you have anything else?
Yeah. Ice Cream Man.
Oh, right. I'm going to let you get to that because I feel like I keep interrupting.
Ice Cream Man. Are you curious about Ice Cream Man?
Yes, but before I let you get started, I felt like that needed to be said.
What?
That little rant we had.
I mean, it happens. So, Ice Cream Man, I just finally read issue number 1, and I am here for this. I'm here for this. This is.
I hear you.
I'm with it. Ice Cream Man is written by W. Maxwell Prince, art by Martin Morazzo, and colors by Chris O'Halloran. And this is just freaky weird, man. Like, super freaky weird, dude.
How so?
So, you get this neighbor. It's okay. So, just from issue 1, and you get this. It's gonna. I don't think this is gonna qualify as a horror type of comic. You get this Ice Cream Man, and there's an Ice Cream Man in the neighborhood, and he's handing out ice cream, right? That just sounds all super innocent and fine, right? But then you get this kid, he gets the ice cream, and he goes back home, and there's a complete, like, 360 of the setting that's been set for this comic book. It turns into like a missing persons case, in which there's like apparently in this city, neighborhood, town, whatever, there's a lot of missing persons cases going on. But right now they're focusing on this little boy and his parents, because apparently the little boy hasn't been seen at school in a couple weeks, and his parents haven't showed up for work in a couple of weeks. But we already know the little boy is around because we've already seen the little boy going to the Ice Cream Man, and he's getting ice cream from the Ice Cream Man.
But the parents are really MIA, as far as we know.
Right. So,
how far in is this?
huh?
How far in is this?
Into the comic? Like a few pages.
No, like the comic series.
Oh, 9 issues.
Add this to my list, kids.
9 issues in. I will be reading more of this week. But fast forward and you find out that the Ice Cream Man is not really just an ice cream man. There's some sort of supernatural kind of thing going on with him. You really gotta read it. The artwork on this is great. They definitely do a great job of providing that creepy vibe to it. This one is heavily narrated. And I normally don't like to read the comics that's just like majority narration and slim on dialogue. This one has a decent amount of dialogue. There's a lot of narration, but the narration on it and what's going on kind of puts you in the mind of like a Twilight Zone episode or whatever. Because they're kind of setting you up with a story while you're reading this story, if that makes sense. So, I mean, obviously the comic book is going to visually tell the story itself, but the narrator is also telling you, like, a side story that relates to the story that you're watching play out. This is definitely going to be on my readings further down the line. Like I said, I'm going to be reading this in between what I'm already reading. So, as of right now, I'm trying to knock out and get caught up with Immortal Hulk. So that's probably my main focus. Immortal Hulk. I'm going to be reading some of this Ice Cream Man in between. And whatever I've got this sitting around the house from the last time I checked my pull box that's not in my Comixology.
No, I need to go pick up comics this week. That's definitely on my list of things to do.
Dude, I'm afraid to go see what's in my pull box.
I haven't been since before Thanksgiving. And even then, my box was getting out of control. So, I mean, it's only been 2 months, so maybe it's not as bad. Worst case scenario, there's 10 extra comics in there. But my goal is to start going week by week and actually grabbing like 4 or 5 comics at a time.
Mm.
That's only $20 a week.
Only $20 a week. Only $80 a month. I'm gonna get paid weekly. You're paid bi-weekly.
Yes. What? But I mean, you know, that's definitely on my read list now, Ice Cream Man. So that I guess I can't talk about it because you're already talking about it, but that's not going to be on my read list.
I mean, you read it and we can discuss it. We can go back and forth with it. Like I said, that one's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Definitely gonna have some strong horror vibes to it. Like it already started off crazy. I was like,
yeah. So 3 issues of Flash for me next week. Probably gonna read another issue of Thor and Venom. That's probably gonna be my main 3. And then I'm probably also gonna keep reading Winter Moon for now. It's interesting. They're short, so like they're only like maybe max 5 boxes long for each episode. So it's really easy to breeze through them. So like I'm 20 episodes in, and they're like maybe 100 or so, maybe 200 in, I think at most. I know they're somewhere in season 2 for what they're counting.
So it's like a comic strip.
Yeah. So, and it's in color. So if you, it's manga-esque in color. He said Korean manga. I've never read Korean manga, so I don't know.
Korean manga comes in color. Bright colors at that.
So that's definitely appreciate the recommendation from a friend. So they also recommended like 4 more that I'm probably gonna go back and read at some point. So, and if you haven't already, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Discord. I also figured out how to do a permanent link for Discord, so it won't expire every 24 hours. That was another issue I was having.
Okay. I told you, bro, Discord is
all me.
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna create you an account and then give you the login for it. Or I'm gonna log you into it during movie night this weekend.
I mean, I'm gonna look into it, but like I said, that's really pretty much all you. I'm probably not gonna be touching that. In other news, though, I will be finally coming off of my Twitter ban to create a Twitter account for us. So the podcast will have a Twitter account. If you knew me, you would know how freaking serious this is, because I have been boycotting and against Twitter since its creation. But connections and networking requires evolving, so therefore I will now be becoming part of the Twitterverse.
So, side note, and this is more business than podcast related, I do need to log you into my Gmail, so you'll have access to the YouTube channel.
I mean, I access YouTube mostly on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can have 2 Gmails linked to it.
Yeah, you can. I have my gaming email and my personal email.
Okay.
But it's logged in under my gaming email, so.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want it to, like, overtake my thing. I mean, I know you can have more than 1 Gmail on there. I just don't.
Yeah, you just turn off the notification for the email portion. And then you'll just get the you'll get you can switch between the YouTubes. That's what I liked about it via mobile, and that's why I didn't bother to create a completely separate email for this channel because I already have a established YouTube channel, LOL Jaquat. So it was just easy for me to just create a separate channel for this. And it just makes it so easy to swap between the two. I might look into having either sharing it or something.
Oh, to access it to one channel. I mean, there might be something on there like that. I don't know. YouTube is outside of my realm of savvy too because I've never uploaded anything to YouTube. So,
well, I am playing with the schedule YouTube uploads because I did upload the video for this week already. So that's a positive. It's already uploaded. It should release on time this week. So Sunday at 12:30 every week, guys. Tune in.
All right. Well, if that about wraps it up, then I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Remember, facepalm that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. Peace out and.
Oh, I have a catchphrase?
Stay nerdy.
Oh, nah, I don't like that one. We'll work on my catchphrase next week, folks. Till then, adios.